who chair the annual general meeting are also eligible and appropriately appointed as chairs of every other general meeting of the congregation in the year in which they chair that meeting. Not necessarily something I fully understood at the time I chose to chair the meeting, but here we are. Welcome to all of you. It's certainly my privilege to be here, and Larry finds himself in a similar position as the secretary of the annual general meeting. He is also going to be, and appropriately, the secretary of this meeting. So the meeting of members of St. Andrew's United Church will now come to order. Larry Evans, with the assistance from other members of the congregation, will act as secretary of this meeting and record the minutes. Whether you are joining us here in the sanctuary or tuning in from home, welcome. While this is not our first time hosting a meeting that is being attended virtually, it is not something we do often, and there are bound to be some bumps along the way, and we appreciate your patience as we work with this new format and this new technology. For those of you joining the meeting virtually over Zoom, we would ask that you remain on mute throughout the AGM, unless, of course, you are invited to speak. The screen, I understand, will be showing active speakers and presenters at the in-person meeting. You'll have an opportunity, obviously, to ask questions and to vote. To all of you, thank you for taking the time to listen and be heard on this important question for the future of our community. I welcome Reverend David Hart, who joins us as the representative of Region 15, the Bermuda, Nova Scotia region of the United Church of Canada. David, perhaps you can just sort of stand up. I met you earlier today. And I welcome those who are joining us. If you experience any technical issues, for those who are joining online, please message that you're experiencing technical issues into the Zoom chat, or call, and I'll say these numbers slowly for those who are joining on Zoom, 902-405-3163, and someone will answer and give you assistance. I would now like to invite Patricia Murray, Chair of St. Andrew's Council, to offer acknowledgements and thanks.
Thank you, Ian. So on behalf of the St. Andrew's Council and community members, I wish to acknowledge and give thanks for the work and spirited commitment that has brought us to this decision point. So many have shown integrity and openness. So many have given their time, energies, and perspectives. It has all been for the sake of the church and the mission it serves. Firstly, let us thank our Amalgamation team group members. 3 members from each of the 3 congregations served on the task group, guiding our consultations, decisions, discussions, and ultimately our Charter of Amalgamation. For their countless hours, and there were hundreds of hours, we thank our St. Andrew's representatives, and maybe we'll get them to stand. Daryl Johnston, Ken Burt, April Stronach, and Clay Tuck, who was unable to remain on the task group for the entire duration due to work commitments, but she was very active in the initial stages of the work, so we wanted to make sure she was acknowledged. Thank you very much. Yes. The representatives from St. Matthew's United Church were Janet Holford, Tim Matthews, and Ken Moores, and the representatives from Fort Massey United Church were James Robertson, sorry, too many pages, John Walters, and Elaine Jansen. We thank the consultant jointly hired to guide this process, Craig Kennedy. We're also grateful for the ways you all worked together, holding with care the interests of all parties. Secondly, I express thanks to Reverend David Hewitt, Regional Minister for the United Church of Canada, for his advice and clarifications. And I thank the ministers of the 3 congregations for their leadership and counsel. Reverend Betsy Hogan from St. Matthew's, Reverend Jeff Chan from Fort Massey United Church, and of course, our beloved Susan Chisholm from St. Andrew's United Church. And finally, I thank all of you here and online for your participation in consultations and discussions and for your grace-filled openness. We are indeed the church, and your participation has mattered greatly.
It's not quite the music that they play at the Oscars to transition from one speaker to the next, but you know, it will do. The United Church of Canada stipulates full members are eligible to vote on the questions of amalgamation and churches are allowed to extend voting privileges to adherents, which are people who contribute regularly to the life and work of the congregation. A voters list of St. Andrew's members and adherents has been updated and posted for confirmation in anticipation of this vote. It's also been announced that only those registered on the list of members and adherents would be eligible to vote at this meeting. At this time, I would like a motion to extend voting privileges to adherents for this meeting of members of St. Andrew's United Church. And I'm looking for somebody to make that motion. Yes, terrific, thank you. Sorry, and if you can sort of names as well, as just so that everybody here, Trish Betts, but so that everybody here at the meeting knows who is making the motion. And do we have a seconder? Betty Sutherland. Okay. Betty's my next door neighbor, so I know that name. Thank you. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Very good. All those joining by Zoom, if your camera is on, apparently you can either raise your right hand, or if you choose not to have your camera on, you may use the raise hand function. So Patricia, have we received those votes?
She's in another room.
I'll just take a moment while we... Is she? Okay. Okay, very good. Are there any opposed? Any opposed to the motion? Okay. Motion is carried. Thank you. So all those in attendance for this meeting should have been recorded in the registration process for either joining the meeting in person or by participating in the Zoom meeting. If you've not yet registered your attendance, we can certainly have you confirm that afterwards, but I think that all those who are here, I understand, have in fact registered their attendance. The motion to amalgamate shall be voted on by anonymous ballot. In-person voters will vote by paper ballot, and online voters will vote by electronic ballot. Can I have a motion to have the vote to amalgamate conducted by secret ballot? Yep. Steve Tugwell? And can I have a seconder, please? Yep. Charlotte?
Charlotte Southern.
Yeah.
How come they're all named Southern?
I don't know. No relation. We've reviewed that before. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. For those joining us by Zoom, if your camera is on, you may either raise your hand, or if you choose not to have your camera on, you may use the raise hand function. And we will once again need to confirm with Patricia that those who are attending online have voted. Thank you, Beth. Terrific, thank you. Terrific, thank you. Okay. And I don't think there were any opposed. Any opposed to the motion? Voting by secret ballot? Very good. We'll consider the motion carried. Thank you. We will be tabulating and announcing the results of our vote here this morning before adjourning our meeting. So that you understand the process at other churches, Fort Massey and St. Matthew's congregations will also be voting this morning and expect the results probably around 12:30. We will ultimately publish the final result of the decision to amalgamate or not in an email to the congregation later this afternoon. We recognize that Halifax is a small community and that there may be an interest in sharing this news with others and with other congregations who are also participating in this vote as soon as we have the decision of our congregation. We would ask you to refrain from doing that, just to allow the other congregations to proceed with their vote and to complete their vote, sort of without necessarily knowing how the other congregations have all voted. And the other congregations have agreed to extend the same courtesy to us. This, of course, is a vote of each of the individual congregations in the first instance. In terms of how we will proceed, we will first table the motion, and then you will be able to ask questions relating to the motion prior to receiving your ballot and casting your vote. Please note that a record of all questions and comments will be kept. The next item of business is the appointment of the scrutineers. The scrutineers are the people who will count the votes. And with your permission, David Hart and Patricia Murray have agreed to act as scrutineers and will collect and count the votes at our meeting. May I have a motion to approve David Hart and Patricia Murray to act as scrutineers for this vote? Yeah, Terry?
Who do we got?
Terry, yeah.
Terry Brown.
And do we have a seconder? Yeah. Bob Shepherd? You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. For those joining us by Zoom, again, if your camera is on, you can raise your right hand. Alternatively, you can use the raise hand function. We will wait to hear how that vote has gone. Perhaps the first investment will be a laptop computer that will allow those who are monitoring online votes to actually be present here in the sanctuary. Terrific, thank you. Are there any opposed? Seeing no hands, we will confirm that the motion is carried. Thank you. We have before us, and there are copies at the back of the church, an amalgamation charter that's been prepared by the Amalgamation Working Group. It contains the visions and priorities for the new church that would be the amalgamated entity. The contents of the charter reflect the expressed interests and opinions gathered in a series of consultations and discussions and on online surveys that have been conducted over the past year. For nearly 2 years, summaries and reports of processes have been made available on the St. Andrew's website, which has been accessible to members of all 3 congregations. Input and questions were regularly invited and encouraged. The charter was made available in print and online on September 25th. Subsequent to the charter's release, meetings were held at all 3 churches for Q&A sessions on the charter, its contents, and its implications. The motion before you today is simply to vote for or against the amalgamation of St. Andrew's, St. Matthew's, and Fort Massey United Churches. Can I have a motion for the amalgamation of St. Andrew's, St. Matthew's, and Fort Massey United Churches? Yep. Sorry. Name? Okay, Beth?
Beth Power.
Yep. And can I have a seconder, please? Paul Frank, thank you. Okay. The ballot reads, do you agree to the amalgamation of St. Andrew's United Church, St. Matthew's United Church, and Fort Massey United Church, yes or no? At this time, I would like to invite anybody who has any questions or comments to come forward to the microphones and share those questions or comments with the members gathered here today. And know that all questions, whether you're coming here with your hopes, your fears, your enthusiasm, your perhaps trepidations, all of those things are welcome here today. If anybody has any questions and would like to make their way to the mic, and if there are those who perhaps are not as mobile, who need the mic brought to them, perhaps you can sort of stay in your seat and signal that you'd like a mic brought to you.
This is Michelle.
Okay?
And have people identify themselves.
Sure. And if you can also please state your names when you come to make your comments, that would be great, so that we can keep those for the record. Betty?
My name is Betty Sutherland.
Just a minute, Ben. Let's turn that mic on. Get it down, right? No, no.
Oh, okay. This has to do with who is eligible to vote. Before we were informed we were doing the wrong thing, there was a lineup that was not super long, but was significant, speaking to a person at the desk, and she was checking the list, then handing us a ballot. So there are a number of us who have voted. We've been told earlier in this meeting that those ballots will be destroyed. They will not be counted. That's fine, except for one issue, and that is what I do not know is whether or not there is a physical indication of who those people are. In other words, the vote I did between the service and now is not going to count. But I don't know whether my name, there's any physical checking of a list to indicate that, in fact, I did vote, and therefore can vote again, as it were.
Thank you, Betty, because that allows us to clarify. What happened before is just pretend it never happened for everyone. So when the discussion is finished, ballots will be handed out. If you filled one out before, the other ones are already destroyed. And then you will stand up with your ballot. You will walk to the back of the church, and your name will be checked with the voter registration list at that moment. There is a list for members on the left, a list of members on the, adherents on the right. So you know, do you go in that direction? It's actually you're facing that way. Adherents, members, and is that clear? And then your name, whether it was checked off before or not, doesn't matter. It will be checked off again. Any other questions about that confusion that happened? No. Okay. Michelle? Yeah, so I will follow up with you, Michelle, for sure. So as was stated, we posted this list to try to catch errors months ago. And so I'll come back and talk with you, Michelle. Yep.
Will it be a way for people who have mobility issues to be?
Yeah, if you have mobility issues, just raise your hand. We'll come and get your ballot and we'll check off your name, of course. Other questions just about that voting process? Michelle? So Michelle is asking about the effect on Sunday suppers. The charter states that when we amalgamate, the vote is today. The date of actually becoming one unified congregation is July 1st. The location where we will gather and all the programs, or many of the programs that are here, will be St. Andrews. And so Sunday suppers will continue to be as Sunday suppers has been. So yes, thank you. Yeah, and then ultimately, if we make decisions about where things are going to be located, but those important mission will continue. Okay. Sorry.
Bethany going to speak?
Beth?
Hi, I have a question. It's actually from Andrea Harrison, submitted online. Andrea asks, what is the threshold for the vote? 2/3, 50%, etc.
50 plus 1.
It's
Great
50.
question.
Thank you. Appreciate the question. So it's 50 plus 1 is the current threshold. It's our hope and expectation that we will have broader support than that, but the threshold is 50 plus 1.
Thank you.
And sorry, to clarify, that's 50% plus 1, not 50 people plus 1. There are certainly more than 100 people here in attendance here today. So, are there any other questions? Any other comments that people want to make? I know we've given you opportunities over the last few weeks to ask your questions, but if people have questions or comments, this is the appropriate time for those. Frank?
I think I'm correct in saying this, and I think people should be aware of it. But this vote is final. It can't be reversed at some later time. Basically, if we all agree to amalgamate today, it's done. It's not something we can, in a month's time, change our mind on. So I think people need to be cognizant of that's the case, because I know other amalgamations have happened where people were not convinced or weren't sure that it was the final decision.
Just to clarify though, if there's only 2 churches
Yeah.
that vote in favor, there'd be a new vote.
Yeah, so Frank, you're correct. This amalgamation vote is final, but it is an amalgamation vote for 3 congregations to come together in amalgamation. And if we end up in a situation at the end of today that only 2 of the churches have agreed to come together in amalgamation, then we will have to have another vote to determine whether the 2 churches that have in the first instance signaled their willingness to come together in amalgamation are prepared to come together in amalgamation, just the 2 of them. But thank you for the clarification.
Thanks. David Goff, lifelong member. So I understand the vote. and I understand the liabilities and the assets of the three institutions. Maybe this has been answered, but I'm just asking again. Has there been any decision, any rules made? Let's say the vote goes yes. What's going to determine the division of assets and the structure of the new, I'll call it triplex, the three combined entities, as far as what happens to the assets if they're sold off, if they're used, just the whole legal aspect? Has that been decided, or is that let's just amalgamate and then TBD? And if it's that second question, if it's TBD, who makes those decisions on the financial aspects of the combined entity?
So it's my understanding that it's really being left to the amalgamated congregation, the newly formed amalgamated congregation, to make some of those decisions around the physical assets and the physical plants of our respective congregations and how they are dealt with. I believe it's contemplated, and perhaps those who are on the committee can confirm this, but I believe that there is to be a committee of trustees formed of all three congregations. So all trustees will come together and will sort of start the work of making some of those kinds of decisions.
So it's kind of a let's amalgamate and we'll trust what will happen next year, that there'll be equal division of assets?
Well, it's not so much a division of assets, because I think we'll have a coming together of the three congregations, and so those assets will then become the assets of the newly formed entity, the amalgamated church, and then it will be for that newly formed entity, through their trustees in the first instance, to start to make some decisions around how we best use our assets in support of the mission of our congregation. Susan?
Thank you. When amalgamation takes place, we become one united church. It ceases to be the interests of three separate congregations. There is a newly formed council that is responsible for the stewardship and the care and the governance of that one united church, which in our instance would happen to hold three properties. And so it is about what happens after this vote.
Thank you.
Just to add to that is the task.
Daryl? Sorry, this is Gerald Johnson.
Sorry. The purpose of the task group was a recommending group, that we would recommend that we would come together as one entity, as Susan said, and then after that, as one church, we would start to make decisions rather than three separate entities thinking about the properties and the like. So we said that that would be the best way forward. Task group was there, and it was quite detailed in the actual charter of that, and we knew going forward that some people would want to know what about the properties. And we confirmed, and with the support of the councils and boards, that this was the best way forward, that a collaboration would take place rather than three distinct environments putting their hand up for their own purpose. Does that make sense?
Very good. Thank you. Are there any other questions or any other comments? And do we have any other comments from the group online? Okay, very good. Well, I think we've heard the motion. We have had our opportunity for discussion, and now is the time for us to vote. And as Susan mentioned, ballots and sort of receiving those ballots and having your names crossed off the list as being in attendance at the meeting will be done at the back of the church. The list of adherents is here on my right. The list of members of this United Church is on my left. And I would now invite you, almost sort of a la perhaps communion style. Oh, I'm sorry, so we're handing out ballots. Okay, very good. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks for all you
Sure.
do.
So you're all receiving votes? Or ballots, rather. You're all receiving ballots. The votes obviously are yours to be cast. And once we're all in receipt of ballots, I will provide further instruction.
I'm impressed with the turnout that we got.
No, it's great. I think these kinds of things, even though they sort of cause some anxiety, they're a good opportunity to generate sort of a revised, sort of a renewed spirit. Hi.
I don't know if you can say, like, people, it sounds like I didn't quite understand the process, the way it was going to work. So people are actually taking their ballot to the back
Right.
and being ticked off the registration list.
And
that
putting
they
it
had
in
and
putting it in the box.
And a lot of people are then leaving.
Okay.
So I wonder if you just want to say, if you want to stay
Right.
and hear
You're
the
welcome,
result of the
welcome,
vote,
yeah.
because other people are leaving, so you might just.
Yeah,
Sure.
thanks, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. So has everybody received ballots? Okay.
No,
So what I would ask is that once all ballots are received, I will invite you to mark your ballot and then bring it to the back where your ballot will be received. You'll be crossed off the list as having attended and voted the meeting. And at that point, I would encourage you or invite you to stick around until we receive the results of our vote. You don't have to stick around, but you're welcome to stick around. Yes?
Is there a particular mark you want on the ballot? Is there any way we might invalidate our ballot?
I don't believe that we have any additional scrutineers who will be sort of looking at ballots. I think please mark the ballot, ideally with an X, either in the yes box or the no box. I think those who are reviewing the ballots and counting the votes are looking for a reflection of your intention. If you've circled one of the boxes, I suspect that will be counted as a vote for that particular
just don't circle.
choice. But just don't circle two, and don't mark two boxes, because that then will be a spoiled ballot. Thank you.
Steve Tugwell had his hand up,
Steve?
but he's not, I don't know.
Okay. And I think for those of you who have been waiting patiently to go and cast your vote, please feel free now to go and cast your vote. Okay.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, no problem.
So we're gonna hang around and tell the results and
I
then,
think so.
and then adjourn the meeting?
It's funny, I received Susan's script on Thursday afternoon at 5:30, and and we've been at a firm retreat Thursday and Friday,
Oh,
and
okay.
Saturday morning. So it was Saturday morning before we went into our partners' meetings that I was sort of reviewing the script, making revisions.
Where did you have your retreat?
We were in Charlottetown.
Really?
So it was a
Regional meeting.
A
yeah.
regional meeting.
So
and,
there were
and not just our partners, but it was all of our lawyers. So
Yeah?
we had probably
That's a big deal.
220 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlottetown could accommodate you?
Well, so we stayed. Most of us stayed in the Delta. I think there were some who stayed in
If there's anyone who has not yet handed in their ballot and got their name crossed off, please do it now. We want to start the counting or finish the counting as soon as we can. If everybody in here has voted, then we're just in waiting mode, I guess.
Are you going to call them forward?
Pardon me? Yeah, sure. Okay. If I could have everybody just take a seat and or stand where you are standing.
Can I have one question?
Yeah.
At the end of this. Perfect.
Okay. So our scrutineers have been busy counting the votes, and they have now shared the results with us. And I would now like to call Susan Chisholm, our minister, to present the result of that vote.
We had 125 people in person, 11 people online. The results are for no, 3, for yes, 136. This result is a testament to the good work of the task group in this congregation for the way that they brought everyone together.
I just want to say there's been a lot of thank yous pushed towards our way. There's a couple of people here, Gail and Patricia in the background, have stabilized all the events. Tremendous amount of work, anxiety about their own future and stuff like that has taken place. So, but they've been beautiful to work with. And then Susan Chisholm. The reason that I have been involved is because of Susan Chisholm and her leadership and her commitment to this. And believe it has not been without its stress. And she'll go, no, it's part of it, I understand, but I cannot thank her enough personally, from the bottom of my heart, the way that she's approached everything here and endured all the changes and anxiety. So Susan, thank you.
Okay, two small pieces of business before we adjourn our meeting. The first thing I would like to do is I'd like a motion, and this is sort of the practice when we do things by secret ballot. I would like a motion to direct that our scrutineers destroy the ballots at the conclusion of the vote. Can I have a motion, Trish? And can I have a seconder? Bob Shepherd, very good. Thank you. You're both in my line of sight, so thank you to others who put your hands up. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Okay, very good. The motion is passed. Thank you. And I would also like to invite Susan.
Thank David Hart, he's headed out there.
David, before you leave, just want to acknowledge and thank you, acknowledge your attendance at our meeting here today. I also want to thank you very much for your guidance and your support of this process. Very, very much appreciated, so thank you. And I would now like to invite Susan Chisholm up to give the benediction before we close the meeting.
Please stand. Holy God, we give thanks for each one, your servants. In this day, may we go out with joy and thanksgiving in celebration of our life together and our lives in you. Go in peace. God bless you all. Amen.